scariest space aliens from the Star Trek universe. Since the time the Greek philosopher Anaximander gazed up at the sky and wondered if anyone else lived out there, humans have been intrigued and excited with the idea of aliens. And if it's aliens we're talking about, Star Trek naturally comes to our mind. One may criminally say that Star Trek is a science fiction franchise like any other, but when such people learn about the franchise's legacy and the 13 films, 9 television series, 3 companion series, innumerable comics, novels, video games, podcasts, role-playing games, and collectibles, they start to pay respect that the franchise deserves. The stories mostly revolve around the adventures and experiences of aliens and humans serving under the Starfleet Command, an agency devoted to intergalactic peacekeeping, explorations, etc. Such stories may project an impression on the outset to be simply about fantasy and fiction, but in reality, they are allegories on several social, cultural, and socio-political issues faced by the contemporary world. It was a brainchild of Gene Roddenberry, who created the original show that aired in 1966, and the rest, as we know, is history. It became an epic saga that continues even today and doesn't seem to disappear from the memory of anyone who ever saw, heard, or read about the franchise. Star Trek may seem like the adventures of humans through the length and breadth of space, but the 300-odd alien species make Star Trek what it really is. In this video, we have brought to you some of the scariest alien species from one of the most renowned and loved sci-fi universes, the Star Trek.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships.
The Borgs are a race of cyborgs who hail from Delta Quadrant. They are also called Borg Collective because they possess a hive mind, and naturally, no individual in the Borg Collective is truly singular, apart from the probable exception of the Borg Queen. They travel the depths of space in their Borg cube in search of diverse sapient species with enhanced technology and knowledge so that the Borg can assimilate with the species. Naturally, they have gained immense power over the period of time and remain one of the most feared races. Their physiology and biology depend on the organism they have assimilated with. Although they are humanoid, few of the Borg Collective haven't refrained from assimilating with their non-humanoid species. After assimilation, a drone, Borg, stops developing body hair and gets greyish skin. The cybernetic parts are then implanted surgically or through nanoprobes injected into blood. These cybernetic pieces of equipment integrated with their bodies help Borgs perform a myriad of duties, including offense and defense. For instance, neural transceivers enable them to remain connected to the hive mind, while force fields safeguard them from most attacks. Drones are also equipped with self-destruct devices that vaporizes bodies, hence ensuring that others cannot exploit their technology. Baul. The Bauls are a race of sapient and space-faring aliens that hail from a planet called Kaminar. They share the world with another Kaminarian race called Kelpins, who are tall humanoids with unique ability to sense danger. But this makes them a primary target of apex hunters because when the Kelpins are scared, they release endorphins, which makes their meat tastier. But as far as Baul are concerned, they are extreme isolationists and remain hidden, so much so that the Kelpins have never ever seen a Baul for long enough to remember what the Baul looked like. The Baul used their advanced technology to keep the Kelpins at a distance, and naturally, they turned out to be more superior species among the two. From the scarce sightings of the Baul, it has been deduced that they are essentially aquatic humanoids who possesses spindly limbs and spikes that can retract. The Kelpins are peaceful, pastoral species, but once they reach a biological stage called the Vahar-I, they sacrifice themselves to be devoured by the Baul to maintain the balance in the world. But in reality, the process of Vahar-I physically transforms them and they become predators who hunt the Baul themselves. In the first century, the Baul reached a near extinction stage.
Your species does not deserve a second chance.
But they turned the tide by developing superior technology and eliminating all Vahar-I Kelpians. The Baul also made the Kelpians believe that the latter was to submit themselves willingly to them for ritual sacrifice, or their homeland, Kaminar, would be in grave danger due to the ecological imbalances. Unsurprisingly, these aliens with oily, black, smoky skin were not just technologically advanced, but also played with their predator's mind and physiology. Jem'Hadar. The Jem'Hadar were a warrior race whom the founders of the changelings genetically created in the Gamma Quadrant. The founders belonged to an ancient civilization with superior power and faced persecution because of these powers. To save themselves from this violent persecution, they started settling on a planet named Omarion Nebula. The Jem'Hadar look like reptiles and are of the same gender with grey scales. After taking birth in specialized chambers, they develop into adults in just 3 days and have a lifespan of 15 years. The founders wanted the Jem'Hadar to remain loyal to them, so they made sure that the Jem'Hadar became dependent on a drug called Ketracel White, which also provided them with all the necessary nutrition. Without Ketracel White, the Jem'Hadars seem to show what they can be described as withdrawal symptoms and untimely die. Apart from having excellent strength and vision, the Jem'Hadar possesses the power to make themselves invisible to naked eyes as well as senses. This race of warriors was extremely resilient and strong. Anyone who was fighting an army for the warriors race needed to equip themselves as well. As far as this culture is concerned, they believed that the leisure and relaxation made them weak, so they never rested, so much so that they didn't even make use of chairs. This could be attributed to the fact that they were engineered to serve as soldiers and crew. Their long-range weapons could shoot plasma beams, but they also carried several melee weapons. Klingons are a race of space-faring humanoid species who hail from a planet named Kronos. They rule the space territory near the border of the Romulan Star Empire and the United Federation of Planets. Since the 22nd century, the Klingons have become one of the most powerful and influential species in the Alpha and Beta quadrants. They have a warrior mentality and strictly adhere to the code of honor. They are physically large and muscular and possesses great strength and durability because of the same. They often showcase strength that's equal, if not superior, to that of the warrior race like Jem'Hadars. As far as their internal anatomy is concerned, it is supernumerary and redundant with extra organs that serve as backups. These include a surplus of set kidneys, 3 lungs, an 8-chambered heart, 2 brain stems, and skeletal system that is harder and more extensive than most of the other races. Furthermore, they have ability to grow an extra spine whenever necessary. Because of their rapid metabolism, they have heightened regenerative capacities. In fact, even Klingon children are aggressive and fierce from the time they learn to walk and are trained to hone their combat and hunting skills. This nature bears a stark resemblance with the Yudjas, or predators who train the unblooded and young-blooded from a tender age.
You can't trace my holographic emitters, Captain, so don't bother.
Reman. The Remans were a caste of slave laborers who worked in unsafe conditions in the dilithium mines under the Romulan people. They hailed from the planet Remus, which was a tidally locked planet, and the Remans lived on the darker side of the planet. Naturally, they were extremely sensitive to light. Having said that, the Reman people are known to be great warriors. A Romulan senator named Vrox had appointed 2 Reman bodyguards for his safety and to intimidate others. They also possessed telepathic abilities. It is widely believed that the Reman language is the most complex language in the universe. In 2379 AD, the Remans fought and seized power from their Romulan masters following a military coup and installed their leader named Shinzon as the head of the empire. It was writer John Logan who came forward with the idea of portraying the Remans as the primary antagonists of Star Trek Nemesis, but the Remans were never an established alien race in any Star Trek canon. Naturally, Logan had to explain who the Remans were to Brent Spiner and Rick Berman and convinced them, who then asked Logan to go ahead with the idea. Gorns are cold-blooded creatures with reptilian traits with green, rubbery skin but are essentially humanoid in stature and can grow up to 2 meters in height. This makes them stronger than most humanoid creatures, but they are less agile and slow. They have holes instead of ears, and their mouths are an array of razor-sharp teeth with indicatives that they are carnivorous. Furthermore, they have vicious claws in their hands and feet. Interestingly enough, the Gorns have 2 different kinds of eyes. While some of them possess silver compound eyes like those of insects, and others have humanoid eyes with pupils. Some theorize that the Gorns can be compared to the velociraptors or the Deinonychus because of the cunning mind that these species share. Due to their reptilian appearance, many falsely believed that the Gorns are less intelligent aliens. Contrary to the belief they are intelligent as humans, the Gorns first appeared in 1967 in the 18th episode of Star Trek, in which Captain Kirk fought the Gorn on a rocky, arid planet. Although this scene is considered to be one of the most memorable scenes of the the original series, some fans consider Gorn's slow movement and fighting style to be unintentionally funny. Armus. Armus was created unintentionally as byproduct of an extremely advanced and ancient race of beings on the planet Vegra 2 in Z Lapis sector of Milky Way galaxy. The race responsible for Armus's creation has found a way to discard all their aggressive tendencies. However, these evil instincts merged together and formed some sort of second skin, which the ancient race of Vegra 2 got rid of. The newly purified aliens then abandoned the planet and left Armus behind. Unsurprisingly, Armus was the only inhabitant on the planet and was a hostile and malignant being made out of substances that can only describe as the essence of pure evil. As far as Armus's physical structure is concerned, it is an amorphous black liquid that can assume any form, including a vaguely humanoid form. This viscous embodiment of evil is practically a sink all the incoming damages and absorbs energy. Furthermore, Armus possesses psychic powers like telekinesis and teleportation. Force fields that Armus creates easily disrupt communication system, and its energy discharges can potentially kill any humanoid. One of its darkest powers is engulfing humanoids intact and keeping them alive inside the viscous body while it tortures them mentally. This tells us how sadistic of a being it really is and how much it enjoys inflicting pain upon others who enter its planet. However, Armus is stuck in the vast prison that it cannot escape, and its only wish is to leave the planet. Species 8472 or Undine. Species 8472 or Undine are a complex race with unique biological structure. The Undine DNA has a triple helix formation and therefore has the most densely coded DNA amongst all known species or organisms. To give you a viewpoint of their complexity, the Undine or species 8472 have 5 different sexes. Their immune system is so strong and potent that it can destroy any alien object penetrating their bodies, irrespective of the object being chemical, biological, or technological. Naturally, they use their immune system for offensive purposes as well as, and if concerned, they use their claws to attack. When attacking with their claws, their cells come into contact with the opponent and infiltrate their opponent's bodies. Next thing we know, the species 8472's cells destroy all biological system of the opponent and eat them inside out. Additionally, they can emit a biogenic field around their bodies which makes pinpointing their exact location nearly impossible. These distinctly non-humanoid creatures have increased height and dense musculature, which enable them to penetrate force field and rip apart bulkheads with ease. They are known to withstand space vacuum. Their muscular bodies with little soft tissues grant them great agility and speed. Also, species 8472 is a highly advanced species who use bioships, which are living organic vessels but are heavily armed and armored. The ship's main computer resembles a nervous system. If 9 of these bioships combine to form a single unit, the resultant firepower can destroy entire planets. They go on, take such extreme measures because they believe that all life forms are impure or weak, making species 8472 highly xenophobic race of beings. Salt vampires. Once upon a time, the salt vampires had a huge population that ran in several millions. But at some point in time, the salt supply on their planet, M113, got cut and their numbers soon dwindled. They came to the verge of extinction. A salt vampire was placed as a showpiece in the drawing room of Trillian's house, but it was later destroyed. Commander Jack Ransom encountered a salt vampire masquerading a young girl, which ultimately attacked Ransom. They could measure a little over 1.5 meters and had brownish skin with purple fingers and yellow eyes. Their saggy faces gave them an externally saddened appearance, but one should never judge a book by its cover. These are highly intelligent creatures that could space shift to some extent. The salt vampires are called so because they have the ability to extract salt from the prey through the suckers placed in their fingers. They are known to feed on humans but seem to have an affection towards Spock. They attack their prey by drawing out an image of someone appealing or trustworthy from the prey's mind. After the prey gives in to this fake person, the salt vampires attack to suck the salt out. The salt vampire used their ability to spaceship in a manner similar to that of the changeling's cellular mimicry.
Welcome to the headquarters of the Cardassian Liberation Front.
Cardassian. The Cardassians were a race of humanoids who hailed from the Alpha Quadrant, more specifically the planet named Cardassia Prime, which was the capital of the Cardassian Union. They were known to be violent and ruthless beings. Alpha Quadrant. They ultimately went on to become the arch-enemies of the United Federation of Planets and that of the Klingon Empire. Like Species 8472, the Cardassians were also an extremely xenophobic race. It became more apparent through their Setlik III massacre during the course of Cardassian border wars, and once again during the occupation of Bajor. They appeared in the 1987 series Star Trek The Next Generation, and then in the subsequent series, namely Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager. The Winters of 1987 series introduced them in the 4th season's episode called The Wounded. The Cardassians were made the villains of USS Enterprise D and its crew. This was essential because of the other antagonists. The Borg lacked the essential individuality and personality. Naturally, the writers needed a more intelligent enemy race with whom the crew could interact and get their hands on enough fodder for portraying some interpersonal drama. The series is set in the 24th century, where the Cardassians live under the strict military regime and control the interstellar empire called the Cardassian Union. They occupy several planets with the sheer force and violence. One notable victim planet was Bajor.
Kill him. Attack. That's what we've done.
Ferengi. The term Ferengi is derived from the word Ferengi, that is Persian origin, which means foreigner. They are humanoid aliens that hail in the rainy planet of Ferengina. Their culture is based entirely on the monetary gains and principles of capitalism. Earning more wealth is a Ferengi's ultimate purpose in life. The most prominent feature that differentiates a Ferengi from a human is the former's large external earlobe, which also serves as a potent erogenous spot. These earlobes also provide them with an enhanced hearing abilities. Interestingly, their complex and large brains are difficult to read even by the telepathic species.
You work with your females. Arm them.
Although their society is like that of humans, it is awfully patriarchal and misogynist, so much so that the women are supposed to remain at home and refrain from practicing any business or earn profit. They were created for the 1987 show Star Trek The Next Generation and played an important part in other shows like Star Trek Deep Space Nine. They served as a new antagonist for the crew, USS Enterprise D, and made their first appearance in the 4th episode titled The Last Outpost. Later in the series, the writers made them less menacing and gave them a comical character. They essentially are a satirical representation of humans of the 20th century. Some critics, however, have drawn comparisons between the Ferengis and the anti-Semitic stereotypes of Jews, but the creators of the show and its writers often argue that the alien species only represents human greed. Hirogen were a race of nomadic hunters who traveled through the depths of Delta Quadrant in search of prey during the latter part of the 21st century. Much like the Yudjas of the Predator universe, they saw other species of organisms as prey. But unlike the Yudjas, the Hirogens showed little but no compassion for other species and almost never honored anyone from another race. The Hirogen males were larger than most humanoid species and therefore possessed enhanced strength and stamina. This strength was also a result of their more advanced muscles and nervous system. Their scenes were never perfect, and their immune system made them highly resilient to any form of sedatives. Fascinatingly, the Hirogen females persuaded the males, who owned unique and rare trophies that they acquired during their hunt, another trait that's similar to the Yudjas, who collected skulls and spines as trophies. The technology was not intended to provide comfort or improve the standard of living. It served one purpose only: perfecting the hunt.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.